Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Yesterday we talked about which fancy kicks don't work and which ones you should stop training. But at the beginning of the episode, I mentioned some kicks that do work. We're going to touch on some more of these today, but more importantly, we're going to touch on how to make these fancy kicks actually effective. Things that you can actually land in sparring or in the ring. That is what we're talking about today. So before we get to my 5 tips on how to make these fancy kicks that actually work more effective, let's touch on which ones I actually think have a chance of landing. Because yesterday we went through and we said tornado kick, not very likely to land. Jumping side kick, probably not. Jean-Claude Van Damme, helicopter kick, no. There were a couple others, you guys can check that episode out separately, but basically breaking down and saying don't look at these kicks as things that you should put lots of time into because the chance of actually landing them is very low. Even though some people have made them effective, very low percentage that you're going to actually make this an effective kick. So the first one that I want to talk about today that actually does work is a Brazilian kick. And I love the Brazilian kick because it's very similar to something that you're taught very early in karate, which is 1-2. But when you do the touch, because the leg extends out and you have to re-chamber and then change heights, there's no massive amount of power on the second kick. So while I like this for control, stability, all those sorts of things, you are much better off actually lifting your leg up and then re-chambering before the extension, whoop, and then whipping it down for that Brazilian. This kick in particular has so much power. I'm gonna throw a link up there where you can actually break down one of the best fighters in the world to ever do this and see how he executes and how you might make your Brazilian kick, also known as a question mark kick, that much more dangerous. The next one that really works well is any form of a scissor kick, anything where you lift the leg up and you switch midair. This could come in the form of a scissor front kick. It could come in the form of a scissor round kick. The way I really like to do it is you fake down low, then you touch on your low kick, and then boom, boom, jump up to head level. Any scissor kick can be very dangerous and effective if you stick to the basic ones. If you get really fancy, probably not much likelihood of landing. But scissor kicks, yes, I think they work. I think you should train them. Next up, again, some of the basic spinning techniques are so deadly powerful. And we have seen these land in the UFC and all the other big fight organizations time and time again. The spinning hook kick, because you start this rotation and you can bring your leg all the way around. There's so much power as opposed to a straight up hook kick, which in my opinion is not even worth training as well. Spinning hook kick, super effective. Spinning side kick, boom, super effective. That's probably one of the most powerful kicks that you can actually throw, is your spinning side kick. You create that momentum and you ride into the shot. And you can get even fancier with spinning side kicks because you can actually jump and still make this an effective kick. You jump up in the air, and as you're doing that, you complete your rotation, and then you can throw out your jumping spinning side kick. Much easier to do with something to bounce off, but I could actually cover range, or I could be here and jump away and throw my spinning side kick. All of these are effective and work very well. Next up, even things like the cartwheel kick. If done correctly, if utilizing all the tips that are coming up, it can be a very effective kick as well, because essentially it's just a downwards round kick, but you're just boom, changing heights, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, this thing can actually work. Would I train it for months on end to land in a fight? Probably not. I'd probably put my energy, if I was gonna go fancy, into something like cross to the body, drop and roll over, like that rainbow kick, I think it's called. But overall, cartwheel kick can still work. But now let's move into the 5 tips, which are really gonna help you land any of these kicks that are fancy or any other kicks, which you might have in your mind. You're like, ooh, I like throwing this kick. It'll dazzle people, but I'm just not landing as much as I want. What do I need to do? Here we go. Number 1, you need to distract them with some sort of fake beforehand. So for instance, if I'm gonna throw a spinning hook kick, if I just stand here and I just go whip and I whip around, the first motion they're gonna see is me turning. And as soon as I start turning, depending on range, they know that a spinning hook kick or a spinning back fist or a spinning side kick is gonna come if they have a good high skill level. But if I can do something like distract with a jab as I start my turn, then by the time I get to here, they've missed everything. And then I only have to complete the short amount of the rotation beforehand. If I want to do something like a big head level round kick or even a cartwheel, again, I can distract. Start lowering my height as I distract with my hands so they don't see me start to go down. Distraction techniques beforehand to blind what you're going to do initially in the kick are so beneficial to making this kick appear like it's coming out of nowhere when really it's not. It's still the same motion, you're just distracting them. Next up, you can utilize eye fakes. A lot of people don't realize that eyes should just be sort of glazed over. You look at the chest, not intently, like soft eyes on the chest, and you can see a lot. But if I start doing things like I look them in the eyes, and then I look down, all of a sudden they might go, oh shoot, he's coming low, and they'll start making mistakes. Or maybe I'll do something like, oh, I'll look up at their head, whoa, and then I'll kick down low. All these little eye fakes can really play games. So if I was here starting to set up my spinning hook kick to head level, and I can do something like that, maybe I throw a little hook kick, and then I look down and I come around, sometimes that really works. So utilize those eyes, show people where you want them to drop their hands so that you can exploit them at a different height. Next up, on anything fancy, you have to be crazy accurate. And sometimes to be accurate, you need to slow down just a little. And I am guilty of this. Sometimes in my fights, I try to throw spinning side kicks and I try to go 100% speed, and then I end up overcommitting and I whip around and my kick is very, very sloppy to what it normally will be in the gym, where I dial back just 1 or 2% even. When you take the time to slow the kick down, it's gonna look that much better and you're gonna be that much more accurate. And if you're coming around whipping at like 100 plus miles per hour with this spinning kick, and instead of landing here, missing, or back here, you can get right on the jaw, that slow little 1 or 2% change up, which is hardly anything. It's minuscule. It's gonna make that kick so much more dangerous. So don't be scared occasionally. Just be like, I'm just gonna calm it down a little. I'm just gonna throw my kick. The force is still there. The power is there. The KO ability is still there. The next tip I have for you is to distract with fakes. So if I wanna set up, let's say a question mark kick. I wanna come up, I wanna throw around this height and just go boom. And all of a sudden I realized the guy didn't even bite on the body feint. His hands are up. I went down to body level on a front kick or a round kick and he didn't do anything. And then I'm like, level switch, but his hands are still there. No, I need to set it up beforehand. I move around and I touch him. And I go, oh, okay, he ate that one. Touch him again. Oh, this guy's not very good at blocking. I'll do it again. Now he starts scooping. Now he starts getting scared, dropping his elbows. Now I switch levels. You use these setups to make sure that you see the area available instead of just like, oh, I'm gonna bust out this big fancy kick and hope that he drops his hands. No, make him drop his hands first, make him lift his hands first for spinning side kicks. This is a great way to create openings and make your fancy kicks that much more likely to actually land. And fifth and final tip for today is to be unpredictable. If I come forward and I throw a spinning hook kick, the first one misses. And then 30 seconds later, I throw another spinning hook kick. And then the next round, I throw another one. If I keep doing it and doing it and doing it, people are gonna pick up on it really darn fast. You have to be unpredictable. And the more you can change things up in between kicks. So I come out, I do my setup like I said, whoop, whoop, and it doesn't land. I'm not gonna throw it again right away. I'm gonna give some time in between. I'm gonna change him up. I'm gonna make him forget about that. I'm gonna go to some other stuff. Make him think about all this other stuff. Maybe I do some of those fakes. I start going, oh, okay, now he's dropping his hands and he's probably not thinking about that spinning hook kick anymore. Now I'll return to it. Maybe a minute later, maybe in the next round. And all of a sudden, this guy's not thinking about it. Then you go to throw it and boom, it lands. Being unpredictable by not throwing things over and over is going to help you a lot. Also, if I'm in a side stance like this, good chance this is going to come. I know that spinning hook kick is going to come from that side stance. So if you can be unpredictable and sometimes change it up, you go square and then you step with your jab so you're back where you want to be and then you throw it. Again, you're less predictable than just standing here where I know, oh, okay, if he spins, good chance that's going to come. But from here I'm thinking, oh, now I'm worried about the hands or the round kick off the back leg. You end up making this person think a lot more about other techniques instead of the one which you're really trying to land. So if you were here yesterday on the channel, you know that I was taking a bit of a shot at some of the fancy kicks, 5 of them that don't work. But like I said, this is the follow-up episode and they do work. You just have to utilize these 5 techniques and probably stay away from the kicks, which I mentioned in the episode yesterday. The ones I mentioned today, the scissor kicks, the spinning kick, the Brazilian kick. What else did I mention? The cartwheel kick. Yeah, these might land and you can train with them and have some fun and hopefully at one point make them actually work for you. That's all, guys. Thank you for joining today. As always, train hard. I will see you back here soon for another video.